It's a great day, my amazing CEOs. In the early 1900s, Florence Butt had an enormous challenge. Her husband became very, very ill, so she became the sole provider for the family in a town where she had no connections, she had no inroads, and no resources. Yet, in the face of this adversity, she went and bought built a juggernaut empire in the grocery industry, which today is known as HEB. But it wasn't always that way. When she first got started, she tried door to door sales. Inc. Didn't work out. Then she had about 60 bucks. She said, let me go ahead and move over here with all this stuff happening, and let me go ahead and invest in a grocery store. Now, you think about all the challenges she had going on. She was able to take that leap of faith, take the step, and as a result, she built it. But there was a few changes. And think about your own industry, how that happens. Along the way, she had to go from credit and carry to cash and carry. And then she had to work on her pricing in order to match and have compassion for some of the customers that would patronize her. What's my big takeaway from you that you can take away from now HEB, which is doing amazing these days? It's twofold. And it comes from a leadership perspective. Number one, have compassion. I didn't say lower your pricing. I said have compassion to understand exactly what your market is looking for, and then be willing to adapt. Because once you're able to adapt and you have the compassion, then they see the business as something more than just trying to sell them something. So it comes down to sales leadership with adaptability, and number two, compassion for your target audience. You do those two things, and I promise you, you'll see your sales rise to levels you never thought was possible. With that being said, my name is Shay Brown. Welcome to the CEO Sales Huddle. I'm so excited that you're here. Now, as we move on, let me go ahead and say welcome. And then once we welcome, one of the things we love to do every single morning, it's one of my favorite things to do, is we do what we call our mantra. And our mantra is, if you can't focus on sales, you can't be in business. Now, why is that? Because sales is the oxygen for every great business in history. So without sales, there's always more money going out than there is coming in. So we must focus on sales. Now, after we do that, as we move on, we're at the 2-minute and 39-second mark. The second thing we love to do every single morning, I think this is important, and this is like our pledge. We talk about learn, earn, and return. And I believe that every morning when a CEO gets up every morning, I think there's one thing it should do. It should look over and it should say these three words: I must learn, earn, and return. In fact, repeat after me. I must learn, earn, and return. It doesn't sound silly. I want you to hear me. Repeat these three words. I have to learn something new. You see it right there. Number two, I have, in order to earn new revenue from existing clients. Number three, in order to get current and old clients to return. So we must learn, earn, and return. We have three objectives every single morning. It's the number one reason why we show up is for these three objectives. Number one, sales growth. As a CEO, you're responsible for growing the business. Yes, you can go back to existing clients and grow the revenue, but in order to grow the business, you need new clients. Number two is that we're not going to be in a vacuum. Sometimes that happens. That's not what we want to do. We want to make sure, myself included, that we address any roadblocks. And then number three, we understand the 5 sales pillars that every CEO needs to know and understand in order to earn money and grow the business. Let me give these 5 real quick, and we're at the 4-minute mark. We're doing really good. Number one, sales planning. You have to know exactly how you're going to get there and the strategy to achieve it. Number two, sales cycles. What is the cycle that your client goes through to become a client? How can we accelerate that? Sales pillar number 3, sales positioning. It's the words that you use. I believe your words will make you rich. Sales tells marketing what to do, or I should say sales drives marketing. Marketing doesn't drive sales. We give them the language to take out there to the clients we're looking to serve. And number 4, sales indicators. We spent about 3 minutes going over the CEO sales dashboard, which I believe is one of the most important ingredients of the CEO sales huddle. And number 5, well, you need a sales team. You've got to generate revenue. And there's no other way I know to generate revenue in the business but through making sales. So if you haven't already, go over and access your CEO sales dashboard. We'll talk about that in a minute. We'll go into great details. It's the number one sales tool that CEOs are using to get to $100,000 a month of consistent, predictable, reliable income. So let me tell you what the CEO Sales Huddle is all about. For those folks, the first to show up every single morning. You're here at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I just want to say, one, I appreciate your time. I appreciate the feedback. Do me a favor, check in. Look right below the video and put hashtag I'm here. That's a bat signal you showed up. You're in this conversation around sales and success. And when you're in the conversation, you're more likely to execute. Number two, if you're watching the replay, put a hashtag replay. You might be listening to the podcast right now. You might be on demand on one of the streaming platforms, Apple, Roku, Amazon Fire, YouTube Live. And if you are, it's okay. Send me a DM over at I am Shay Brown. Just say, I'm here. I love getting the comments. For all the new folks who are tuning in for the very first time, let me just tell you what the CEO Sales Huddle is really all about. The CEO Sales Huddle is about, well, it's a place where CEOs gather to understand how to sell more faster. So I understand that you know exactly how to sell, but the question is, how do you sell faster? How do you sell faster? Let me give you our big why we show up every single day and why you should be in this conversation with us. Sales growth is number one. We're going to grow sales. Number two is accountability. We'll often do more for others than we'll do for ourselves. Isn't that so true? And number three, consistency. You've heard this before, that consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. And having said that, what do most people struggle with most? They struggle with consistency. You got it. We only ask for 15 minutes a day. That's it. 15 minutes, 1% of the day. There are 1,440 minutes in every day. When you show up, we're only asking for 15 minutes out of your day to be here. So what's our number one outcome? If you said, Shay, boil it all down, what's the number one outcome? It's to generate $100,000 per month of consistent, predictable, reliable income. That's why we show up. There's no other barriers when you show up other than you, well, being you, right? Your only job is just to show up. So let's talk about the CEO Sales Dashboard. We're at the 7-minute and 40-second mark. I love this part, because what gets measured gets managed. And again, you open up the CEO Sales Dashboard. Let's show it to them if we can. The CEO Sales Dashboard is the number one sales tool that entrepreneurs use in order to get to $100,000 a month of consistent, predictable, reliable income. We measure 5 areas. We're at the 8-minute and 7-second mark right now. We're measuring leads, appointments, offers, deals, and repeat business. Now, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go down and open up your CEO Sales Huddle. And when you open it up, and I spend about 3 minutes doing this, you're going to go over to the spreadsheet. Now, whether your assistant does it the night before, and you're here right now looking at your numbers, whether you have to go plug the numbers in, that's cool, or you assign it to someone else, it doesn't matter. As a CEO, every morning I need 1% of your time, 14 minutes. In this case, 15, but we take 3 here. And we got leads, appointments, offers, deals, and repeat business. Now, I'm going to take about 2 minutes to go deep in one area. The area we're going to go deep on this morning. Now, first, if you haven't already, plug the numbers in for yesterday. Like, don't sit there and just look at me. This is cool. But no. Take this. How many leads came in yesterday? Look at it. Look at it right now. How many appointments were set yesterday? How many were run yesterday? How many offers were made yesterday? What gets measured gets managed. Now, I'm going to show you a chart. Let's see if we can bring that chart up over here. And then I'm going to go deep in just appointments. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. You can't see it yet. You will in a second. There we go. Now, there are categories which are up top, and then there's subcategories. And some of you're going to customize this. Maybe you already have. We talked about leads yesterday. Today, I'm going to go in the area of appointments, and I want you to have just this one distinction. This is worth your whole time being here. Put this in your notes. Nothing happens without an appointment. There's appointment setting. That's one skill set. That's your ability to be able to set appointments. And then there's appointments run. That's how many appointments you actually ran that day. That means people showed up. So some of you have one-to-one appointments, which is right here. You're talking one-to-one or face-to-many. Some of you have one-to-many appointments. Like right now, I'm here. We'll have about 10,000 plus downloads from just this episode alone. So this is one appointment to many folks who are listening. And then some of you set appointments up just to have a collaboration. Now, and then there's appointments to talk about referrals. Again, you can set this up how you want, but what I want you to know and understand, wow, with those folks that are supervisors right now, and we're at the 10-minute and 32-second mark, so let me take another 45 seconds. For those that are supervisors and you're working with your team, ask them, how many appointments not only did you set yesterday and did you run yesterday, how many do you have set? Did you plan to run today? You know that 30% of appointments were canceled. And then ask them, how many appointments are set on the books for the rest of the week, and what type of appointments are they? Now, again, this is not about how do you sell someone and convince someone. This is about, in order to grow the business, we have to get in front of people who have a problem, and there's no other way to do it but through an appointment, even if it's automated. Even if they go to your website, some of you listen to the you're watching or listening to the replay right now. That's an appointment. And you're here. So I want to acknowledge you for doing that. Okay, then there's the offer, there's the deals, and there's repeat business. You get the picture. You get where we're going to right now. So let's jump back over here. And as we do, let's celebrate some wins. Now, I love to celebrate wins. It's one of the segments that we have here because oftentimes we beat ourselves up. So you're going to take, 60 seconds right now, and we're going to celebrate some wins. We're at the 11-minute and 43-second mark. So number one, what are you most proud of? Seriously, when you look back over the last 24 hours yesterday, what are you most proud of? What was your biggest accomplishment? What do you want to brag about? Now, this is just yesterday as it relates to sales. If you had an opportunity to step back and just brag right now, what would you brag about if I could bring you on here? Yes. See, sometimes we don't acknowledge it. And I want you to put this in your notes. Never despise small beginnings. So even if you took a small step yesterday, you took a step. Even if you showed up yesterday for just a little while, you took a step. Even if you listen to the replay right now, you're in the conversation. This is top of mind to you. I want to encourage you right now to say, yes, go ahead and brag on about that. But we also are going to acknowledge that there's some challenges. There's some hurdles. It's not all unicorns and cupcakes and rainbows, by the way. We understand that. So let's talk about the 3 questions that we're going to ask ourselves. Why? Because powerful people ask powerful questions. Because questions steer focus. And in this life, you get exactly what you focus on. So let me give you 3 questions that you need to focus on right now. 3 questions. Go ahead and take a look at these here. While you're here right now, don't miss it. Number 1, what was your biggest roadblock? Number 2, what's preventing you today? So yesterday, you look at it and say, wow, one of my biggest roadblocks was I got sidetracked. I had to spend all day in interviews. I had all day training a team, whatever it may be. I was in one-on-one meetings, whatever it was. Number 2, what's preventing you today? You know that there's some things that need to happen. You need leads, you need appointments, you need referrals, you need collaborations, you need partnerships. There's a lot that has to happen. So what's going to prevent you today from moving forward? And number 3, what is the one thing? The one thing that you can do, that only you can do, that if you did it, it would move your business forward, especially from a sales perspective. And I love to say that because one of my favorite books, not one of my top 5, it's one of my favorite books, is The One Thing. And The One Thing, that's where I got that question from. I'm giving you the Shea Brown version of it, but it was, what's the one thing that you could do today that only you could do it, but if you did it, your life or business will move forward. Now, I've given a little remix version. I'm part of that generation. And so I'm kind of saying, what's the one thing from a sales perspective that you need to do today? Because sales is the oxygen for any great business in history. Without sales, there's always more money going out than there is coming in. So we know at the end of the day that sales is really serious business. The message of the day. I love sharing this. We're at the 14-minute and 47-second mark. Yay, we're doing well today. It is great. I love it, by the way. So let me go ahead and give you the message of the day, something I love to do. The message of the day. Nothing happens without an appointment. One of the challenges I had is I would get up during the day and I would have all this energy and I was ready to work. I was ready to kind of help people. I was ready to move my business forward. But then I was sitting there and I had nothing to do because I didn't have appointments. I didn't have the distinction that I needed someone to be on the other end of a phone call or be ready for me at a meeting or come to something that was already assigned. And without that distinction of setting appointments, I got up every day and just made phone calls, sent emails. Would you like to get up? Would you like to get together? Would you not like to get together? And as a result, I wasted so much time. So I want you to step back and focus on setting appointments as a skill set and then running appointments as a skill set. You do those two things and your business will skyrocket. And that is the word of the day. My name, by the way, is Shay Brown. I'm super excited you're here. Thank you for joining. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for just being the kind human being that you are. Please take this message. Hit the share button. Forward it on to someone else. Invite them to the CEO Sales Huddle, the number one place people CEOs gather in order to make more sales faster. I'll see you at the next CEO Sales Huddle. Peace, everybody.